Hello gaming peeps, it's Neil from Gamerevolution, here with another top 10, and this time I'm going to do the classic grey box console, the PlayStation 1. I remember when this came out, I went to Dixon's, I paid a ridiculously amount of about 280 quid for 6 games for this console. And it just come out. I've been waiting for it for ages, reading reviews, buying magazines. I was really excited about seeing it. And it came out and I was overjoyed. So we'll move on to this is my top 10 for it, and number 10, it's got to be Medal of Honor. This all is before any sort of Call of Duties. Medal of Honor was the one. Dealing with the World War, looked amazing. They did more later on, but the original was, we'd never seen it before, a third-person shooter like that, and dealt with the war and looked so realistic. You felt as though you were there. Absolutely brilliant game. The sounds of the different guns, they even got to sound different, which is really difficult to do even now. And it's just a superb game all round. Definitely check it out. If you like first person shooters, this is probably, I would say, where it all started for modern shooters. And now you look at it and you got Call of Duty, you go, oh, here comes another one. But back then we hadn't seen anything, so this was really the one to start it off. Which leads me to my number 9. And this is a game that people will think, well, I've never heard of that. But it's a game I so enjoyed, and it's called Fighting Force. The reason I enjoyed this, one of my favourite games on the Sega Mega Drive was Streets of Rage. I think we'll all agree that is an immense Mega Drive game, and such a great game to play from 1, 2 and 3. They're all superb. This was nothing to do with the franchise, don't get me wrong, but it was so much like it. It was a sort of 3D modern Streets of Rage, but you could do some intense stuff, smash their faces into cars. Really good game. The fighting element was so easy to control. With the group, you were sent out to take out bad guys basically in some sort of like a modern day version of the Warriors film, and it was just the way it was done. The levels were brilliant. It was very Streets of Rage actually. Even the level design was very similar, but it's just the fact that you can move freely everywhere and the fighting looked more intense. Made it, put you on the edge of the seat and trying to deal with multiple enemies. You needed eyes in the back of your head. But it was superb, especially if you got friends around and played it. They did the sequel, which did all right as well, but this was unique because it was it's one like Streets of Rage, and that's what made it really popular. But then again, not everybody's played it. Definitely check it out. It's a real good game. Which leads me on to number 8. My number 8 is Alien Trilogy. The reason for it is I got this when I bought the console, as I said, from Dixon's. It was one of the free games I got with it when I bought the package. I'd saved up for it really hard, and I got it at home, and from the opening sequence it was absolutely amazing. Your nerves are up here. It's just puts you right on the edge of the seat, but they've done it so well, even from the bum bum as the aliens are getting closer. It really puts you on the edge of the seat, because I mean we played side-scrolling aliens games before, but nothing of this sort of nature. I mean the opening sequence was superb, where they dropped the car and roll in to find this deserted. It looks like it's been overthrown. Trying to discover why. It's absolutely brilliant game. Atmospheric. I mean, even now I've played it recently just to give it a go and see if it still had that feeling. It still has a feeling of dread and horror as modern games do. It's just the way they did it, come into a unique package. We are doing another Alien Isolation, which I'm hoping goes back to this original feel, because I've watched some video footage. There is some on the website, check it out, and it feels as though they're going back this way, and if it is, it's 10 change of underwear time, because it is every bit of good as a scary horror, and more intense in many ways. This leads me on to number 7, because Alien was on the break. Yeah, number 7. I had to rewind my mind there. This is Tekken 3. Tekken 3. We'd seen Tekkens, obviously, and the third one came out, and it made that graphical leap and move leap from, because everybody's Street Fighter that, Mortal Kombat, but Tekken is really good, and I remember the second one coming out. The opening sequence of the second one is superb, but the third one took it to a whole new level. The new moves in there, new characters. The characters that they designed for Tekken are equally as good as the ideas for Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. I have to say those 3 franchises probably do the best job of creating characters that you want to fight with and you want to take down. And so some of the combo sequences in Tekken 3 are absolutely superb. Each person having their own unique story, which means you have to go through the game multiple times to get their endings, which meant it's a good idea, that type of thing, because you got seeker characters. It meant you coming back for more, rather than just play a fighting game, play it through, that's it, I'm not going to play it again, as you do with a lot of fighting games. This adds an individual story, set up a story, played it all the way through, and finished with an ending, and then go on to the next one. So that's the reason why that's my number 7. And my number 6 is Metal Gear Solid. Well, it had to be. Start of the franchise, apart from obviously the NES version that came out, but start of the franchise in modern era. It's probably the most stealthiest game that I've played, apart from one that is in my top 10 as well, and we'll come to that shortly. The fact you have to hide away from everything, it alerts you if something's close. It's not about jump in there, take my gun and blast the crap out of everything that moves, because it won't work. If you try that, you will be overrun, and you'll be back to the start before you've had a chance to blink. It's one of those games you have to play to really appreciate it, and the franchise is massive now. I don't know whether they realised when they did the first one how big the franchise would become, but I mean the main character is Snake Plissken from Escape from New York, without a shadow of a doubt. They say, oh, it's nothing to do with it. You stand them side by side, they're really the same. But for the fact of the lack of Escape from New York game, this is just superb. The way that the atmosphere is done, the graphics are done. I don't want to get too much away, because if you haven't played the franchise, you need to play that one first to try and because it's got a story that runs all the way through it, and it's very deep, involving story. And I don't want to spoil any of that. With all my top 10 games, I'll just basically speak about the graphics and the sound and how it's put together. I won't give too much story away, because it's for you to check out and find out and see. And so that's Metal Gear. So we'll move on to my top 5. Now these 5 are, it's so difficult to choose top 10, to be honest. The worst I'm dreading to do is the Sega Mega Drive, because I just don't know how I'm going to do it. I could label it down to a top 100 probably. Top 10 is going to be really, really difficult. But even said that, I would say number 5 in there is going to be GTA 2. GTA was fantastic. GTA 2 was something else. Top down view, they took it further. Again, I don't know whether they realised what kind of franchise they got when they did GTA. I mean, Rockstar element at games anyway. Every game I play of theirs is money. It's always on point. It's always highly structured, and always, you know, the franchises they've launched have just continued and continued. Like, you know, GTA, Redemption, the Red Dead series. You know, they're meant to doing games. There's no getting away from it. But GTA 2 was superb because it had a lot of differences. Bigger city, more intense, had a real good story running through it. Yeah, it was easy to control. It was controversial because obviously when you beat people with baseball bats, not as controversial as when they went on the modern consoles and you could really see it in 3D. It takes them a long time to do GTA. I mean, we've got 5 now. Before 6 comes out, it's probably going to be two years because it takes so long to do it because of the size of the maps, and it's only getting bigger and better. So definitely check out GTA. Number 4 is Resident Evil 2. Now, I love Resident Evil. It is a fantastic game. It's probably one of my all-time favourite horrors. I could go back and play that now. You know, creeping around the mansion, zombies scuttling away. But number 2 was just even better. Through the opening sequence, the running through the grass, being chased with dogs, and all sorts like that. It's just absolutely immense. They thought it worthy enough. The Resident Evil franchise got director's cuts. There's different versions of it. You know, again, it's still Raccoon City overall. They made films from the franchise. It's just a ridiculously intense game. But I remember picking it up and thinking, Resident Evil was good. Is this going to really let it down? Is it going to be the same old junk as again? Junk's the wrong word really, because the first one was not junk, it was absolutely superb, but you know what I mean. Is it going to be the same? Are they going to rehash it and just will be playing another version of the first one? They didn't. They made it a lot better with characters you could swap between. Okay, they let themselves down when they started spoiling into you know, Survivor and Outback, which were absolutely dire. But the main franchise, the Resident Evils, the 1, the 2, the 3, they were doing well. Obviously, exclude the diabolical version number 6 is. They've really lost their way. If they do a 7, unless they come back with the horror game to end all horror games, you can can the series because nobody else is going to play it. 6 came out for about £40 odd. I spotted it all other day in one of the stores for 10. And to be honest with you, they should be giving me £10 to take it away from them and setting fire to it because it's that bad. But yeah, definitely check out Resident Evil 2, and that leads me on to my 3rd one. Now, I mentioned earlier that Metal Gear Solid is probably the most stealthiest game I've played, bar none, apart from one, and this is my number 3, Tenchu, Stealth Assassin. If you've never played Tenchu games, then you need to. It's as simple as that. Tenchu's basically an assassin, and has to infiltrate and take down bosses along the way in villages. But the way he does it, sneaking on buildings, using grappling hooks, dropping down behind people with death kills. It was absolutely superb, and it has to be, yeah, sort of given awards for that. I mean, the way it's done and the way that he moves, and so many different movements in him, must have been really difficult to do. But I remember buying it and thinking, this is a really, really, really good game. Obviously, we got Assassin's Creed now and things, but to be honest with you, it's no Tenchu. Tenchu is great. Even though the sequel was really good, then they started letting themselves down when they went on to the big consoles and the modern ones, and it started going downhill rapidly. I don't think they're going to do anything with the series ever again, but it had its run, and it was really good. I don't want to spoil sort of the story that runs through it, but it's from the moment it's intense to intense. Which leads me on to number 2. The original sort of crown beater of Resident Evil, Silent Hill, had to be number 2. It literally put me on the edge of the seat playing that. I'd only felt that from Resident Evil franchise, but because you were sort of not battling zombies, which you expect apart from, they were really disturbing creatures. So much so they made a movie out of the original Silent Hill, which, warning, is quite gory to say the least. So is this, and the imagery that's used is mentally twist your mind up. The way they've done the game with the fog and the sort of nice little graphical touches that make it really good. Plus you haven't got a weapon to start out with, which was just a kick and a sort of punch until you made sort of baseball bats and different things. And so yeah, that is number 2, but word of caution, do not play that down and do not turn off the lights. Because you will not sleep. Even now it looks amazing. So it leads me on to number 1. Now I sat down to this game and with my cousin, and it took us an eternity to get through. Probably about a good week. And it's such a great game. And it's Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen, the original Legacy of Kain. Now if you get all to this game, put it on eBay, you'll make yourself a good 30-40 quid. It's really hard to get hold of, and you will get that modern day, because it was literally a week or 2 ago I found it in the car boot, put it on eBay, and it went for about $42.99, something ridiculous. But it was good to hold it again and see. It was they did an absolute atmospheric game. The fact you could kill people and suck their blood from a distance and regenerate yourself, because you're sort of a kind of a modern day vampire, as it were. The story I couldn't describe here. It's just so good. They did others later on, which kind of spin-offs to it, like Soul Reaver. But the original is by far the better one of them all. The others are really good. This one, I just remember the good old times of sitting there and playing this game, and working way through it. Every location was a winner. It changed. The puzzles were really thought-provoking, and it was just brilliant. It's only just, although the game I was going to pick is actually not in my top 10, because it was between this and another game for my number 1, so I didn't put the other game in my top 10, because I sat there thinking about it, and I'm thinking it was going to be Broken Sword, but I'm thinking, yes, it's a fantastic game, but it's a very niche point and click market. And this one was just absolutely brilliant. So that is my number 1. Check them out, check my other videos out. As all, I'm honest, I don't give away any plots though, so if you're after stories of them, do the research. yourself. Just put in the name of the title, think I've never heard that, place it into one of the search engines and have a read about it, check out some videos on them, and see what you think. I've got a lot of footage behind the background, so you can always have a look through that. On the site, and when I launch it, I do a sort of there are videos from very good people off YouTube. No association with myself, but there's a video like top 20 games that a console was known for. Check it out, check some footage, you'll get the idea of how good some of these games are. If you like a game of mine I've picked, just type it into YouTube and I'm sure you'll find a video on it and you can have a look through. And that's my top 10 for PS1. Check out my other videos. The site, although I said in my introductory video it'll launch in a couple of months, it'll be ready when it's ready. I don't want to launch it when it's not 100%, you know, I would visit it, for example. So yeah, check out my introduction video, my reviews of modern games, Titanfall, I've done Call of Duty Ghosts. I'm going to do some retro ones and all my top 10s of my favourite consoles. And yeah, happy gaming.